Hello YouTube friends, welcome back to Buvalt's Bushcraft. So this is part 2 of the original video, the resources video. Today we're going to cover making the tinder bundle and then blowing the tinder bundle to life with charred material. We're going to locate some punk wood, show you what that is, how to gather it, and it's going to be short, sweet. We'll get rolling on it. Thanks for watching, and I'd like you to please like and subscribe. Help support this channel. Thank you so much. Let's get to it. Alright, so stop number 1 is punk wood. And what you want to be looking for is anything with the property of essentially a sponge. If you see me pick this off and it looks like, if I'd squeeze that, it's just like a sponge. You find some of that stuff, and this is what you want to put in your either a single-walled container or a closed-off container to deprive the material of oxygen. And as you heat it up over the fire, depriving it of oxygen will create char. Char is then used to be able to get an ember off a spark. And that can be a ferro rod spark, because they throw basically molten sparks, or that can be flint and steel, which has minimal sparks. So I'm going to collect some of this stuff here, and in a little bit I'll show you what the char material looks like. And from there, I'm going to actually show how to make a tinder bundle and ignite it with this stuff. So stay tuned. Okay, so there's something I want to point out that I wasn't able to show you in the last video where I got the aspen inner bark. I told you guys it's normally pretty white when you collect it and it's dry. Now on this tree right here, this is an aspen. You can tell now how this stuff, when it looks dry, it's actually kind of a white color. And even the bark, when it's not wet, it's very gray. And this is a dead one, but live ones are even more kind of lighter gray than this. So just wanted to show you guys that, because I'm gathering the tinder bundle at the moment. And again, this is the stuff that you want right there. Alright, so I'm back at the area that I've selected as camp. I set up my lean-to shelter, and I've got my aspen up on top of my lean-to, and I'm just letting it sit in the sun as best I can. It's spotty. The sun isn't always shining right on it, but as long as it's got some airflow, it'll be drying. So pretty much I'm giving this a little bit of time to dry here, and then I'm going to go ahead and make the tinder bundle. And from there, I'm going to use the char material to ignite the tinder bundle. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do here, we've got our fire going. We're going to take, I use an Altoids can, because this has a hinge and it closes, which deprives the punk wood of oxygen. You can use similar things with similar properties and it'll work just fine. Like I said, you can use the single wall canteen steel. And as long as you get your punk wood in there and set it right in the fire, give it a good amount of time to heat up in there, it'll turn into charred material. So in a little bit here, I'll show you what it turns into. But I'm going to go ahead and put my long pieces of punk wood in this container. Now you don't want to break it up, because when this stuff catches fire, that's wrong. When this stuff heats up, it's going to reduce drastically in size. So I'm going to take a long piece and I'm going to stuff it right in here. And then it's as simple as close your lid and then place the container in the fire and then build your fire up around it. And after say 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, it heats up and you've got yourself some charred punkwood. And then you get to use your next fire mentality, which is taught at the Pathfinder School. You always have resources to make another fire. Okay, so we're getting close to where we want to pull that char material out of the fire. And to give you an idea of how long I've let it sit in there, the fire has become some nice coals, and I'm just giving it that final last bit to heat up in there and turn into a nice char material. Something that I'll be able to throw sparks at and it'll catch pretty easily. Okay, so we got our material here, and I've already kind of broken it down, which I said to do when you collect it. Usually if it's a little wet, you break it down. But starting to see it's getting a little bit more fine, but there's still a little bit of work to do. So just really start taking and pulling this stuff apart. And while doing that, you're really going after the thicker strands and trying to split them. So this is the next step. And also, take notice, a lot of this stuff is falling on me. It's real small stuff. Don't discard that. You want to use that stuff. Because especially when you take and start roughing this up, all that stuff's going to start falling down, and you want to put that right in the middle of your tinder bundle. So, the way that we make these is, once you have broken it down, you want to take and start folding it inside of itself. So, rip and start folding it inside of itself. I don't know if you can see that, but you're going to start to form a bird's nest. And that's really all it is. If you've ever seen a bird's nest up in a tree, it's the same thing. So as you're doing it, and like I said, I don't even care that this stuff is falling on my shirt, because I'm going to use it. The center of your bundle, you want that to start having some really fine stuff. That's where the heat is all going to be, because that's where your ember is going to be dropped into. And when you give this thing air, it's going to heat up in the center first, and you want all that to catch. So I got all this stuff to work with. Keep forming. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time. This stuff, you can go faster, but I prefer to try and make it the best bundle I can make it to give myself the best shot at success. So now, I'm going to show you, I have myself a bird's nest. Thick on the outside, thin on the inside. That's the general makeup. You want different sizes mixed in. It doesn't all have to be this. Now the last ingredient is that. You add that to this center. All this stuff that I've collected on my shirt needs to go in the center of this bundle, because that stuff is going to burn. Okay, so now I've got that constructed. I've got most of this stuff in the bird's nest. I happened to pick up a little bit of yellow birch on my way through today, and like I was saying in my last video, that has natural oils in it that'll help this get hotter faster. So I'm going to take this, break it up, and also mix this in with the tinder bundle. Alright, so I just want to give you guys an up close. After that's been in the fire long enough, that's what you're going to wind up with. That's your char material. And notice it's actually in a pretty big clump, which is good. You want good long pieces to be able to work with. So we're going to take that, get that going with a ferro rod, because I'll show you a flint and steel video later. And we are going to place it in the tinder bundle. So a technique that's taught at the Pathfinder School is how to use a ferro rod using your boot. You place your hand on your boot. You then bring your ferro rod to the knife and you pull away, which then throws the sparks down. You have a steady rest here. Okay, so that caught multiple pieces of that char material. And at this point, it's heating up. I'm going to set my tools, grab my bird's nest, and then I'm going to take a piece of this material I'm going to place it in my bird's nest. You can add more, but you should always try and save some char material for your next fire. Then what you want to do is you start to close that in, but you don't want to deprive it. Figure out your wind direction. You don't want to be blowing into this thing and have the smoke blowing back at you, because that'll actually impede the process of you being able to get full breaths and keep this going. Raise it above your head, kind of blowing up into the Ventura effect. Turn it upside down. Let the flames catch on it. From here, you are safe to put this into your fire lay. But that is essentially how it's done. And you can see here it's cooking right up. That's a good way to start a fire using a tinder bundle. Now, I want to thank everybody for coming and watching these two-part videos. I'm going to be doing that from time to time, where I do one part here and then finish it with a second part. My next videos are probably going to feature flint and steel, something to do with another technique. But thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. Thank you for all the likes, subscriptions, and I thank you so much. I'll catch you next time.